Good morning, everybody. Thanks a lot for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be there in Dublin. Actually, my second time in Ireland in 30 years. So, after hearing how to enter the Chinese market, we will explain you what the EU is doing to help European small medium-sized businesses to protect their intellectual property when they are doing business in 3 different markets: Southeast Asia, China, and India. So, why intellectual property? So, intellectual property is to support IP capacity building along the full scale of IP practices from awareness to strategic use and successful exploitation. So, IP is a necessity for SMEs and especially for those that are innovative in the tech industry. IP, when we talk about startup, IP is crucial because it's crucial for startups to protect their ideas, but usually their ideas are their most valuable assets. And we always tell companies that early IP protection is key to attract investors. Intellectual property means also freedom to operate in new countries, for example, in these emerging markets like Southeast Asia, China, and India. And IP contributes to strengthen the EU competitiveness. So intellectual property protection should be at the forefront of any small, medium-sized business in Europe willing to do business in Southeast Asia, India, and China. So, what are we exactly doing? The International IP Helpdesk, it's free of charge, first-line confidential assistance on intellectual property protection, management, and enforcement in Southeast Asia, China, and India. Who are the beneficiaries of these services? They are small, medium-sized businesses from the single market program countries. It means countries from the European Union plus countries that are participating to the single market program for SMEs, such as Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Ukraine, Turkey, Montenegro, and Macedonia. We're talking about countries that are established in these countries and SMEs that have a potential interest in these markets. So briefly, presentation of the services we offer for SMEs. All the services we offer for SMEs are entirely free of charge because the helpdesk are entirely financed by the European Commission. The first service is the inquiry helpline that allows SMEs to ask a question on intellectual property. We have a website and a newsletter, a website with a wide range of publication on intellectual property in Southeast Asia, China, and India. You can find material per country. You can find material per type of intellectual property. So, for example, on copyright, on trademark, on patent, geographical indication, and so on. And we also have some material per type of sector. So, for example, if you want to dive more into intellectual property in the ICT sector in Southeast Asia or intellectual property for the healthcare sector in China. We also have some intellectual property business tool, and we have some trainings and workshops on site and online that we organize. And you can see here the addresses of the common website and the addresses of each of our websites. So, in terms of geographical scope of the help desks for Asia, for Southeast Asia, we're talking about 10 countries, and the 10 countries are listed here in terms of priority: Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, Philippines, Malaysia, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Brunei. The 4 first countries are priorities set by the European Commission for us. You might know that the European Union has free trade agreements signed with Vietnam and Singapore, so there's a lot of activity going on. Regarding China, we're talking of course about mainland China, but the services are also available for Macau, Hong Kong and Taiwan. And regarding India, it's India. So, precisely, how can we assist European SMEs that are willing to enter the Southeast Asian, Chinese, and Indian markets? First of all, the most interesting service for the SMEs individually is the helpline. So, any small, medium-sized businesses from the countries that I mentioned can get in touch with our helpline. So they can submit intellectual property questions to our helplines. For example, I am an Irish SME. I have a patent protected in Ireland. I also have my trademark registered at European level. I have an eye on the market of Vietnam, and I'm also thinking about going to Taiwan. But before that, I would like to know how does it work with the patent protection and the trademark protection in these countries. You just need to drop us an email to the respective email addresses you see there, and in 3 working days, our intellectual property business advisors will send you the answer confidentially and free of charge. Free of charge means that we are a first line of assistance on intellectual property. This is very important because as we are free of charge, as we are entirely financed by the European Commission, we don't charge anything for our services, but it also means that we don't replace lawyer. We will tell the company everything the company needs to know in order to protect its intellectual property in Southeast Asia, China and India, but we will not do it for the company. And also, SMEs can request a one-to-one consultation with the intellectual property business advisor. Virtually, half an hour, for example, in our case regarding Southeast Asia, our IP business advisor is based in Vietnam, and you can ask him for a virtual meeting, 30 minutes, to discuss your intellectual property in Vietnam, for example. If you're planning to enter the market, you can have a discussion with him about what you should do to protect yourselves. As I said again, it's entirely free of charge and it's confidential. Second service we provide to SMEs to help them to enter the Southeast Asian, Chinese and Indian markets. If you are a business support organizations and you are willing to inform your companies about business opportunities in these markets, we can secure a legal expert, an IP expert, to deliver a presentation to the companies on intellectual property in these regions. So typically, if a stakeholder such as a cluster, chamber of commerce, any business support organization is organizing an informative session on business opportunities in Malaysia and China, we can secure, entirely free of charge, an expert. He will come 30 minutes, physically or virtually, to inform the companies about intellectual property in the market. So before they enter the market, these are certain things that you need to take into account, very practical issues for the company to think about intellectual property, to be aware of the risk of not being protected, but also to know how they can use intellectual property wisely, how they can use it as a competitive advantage in order to do business safely. And this, how do we do it? Either we insert a presentation in an existing event. For example, if you have a meeting before a trade delegation of Irish companies to Singapore, we can secure a legal expert, or we can organize the webinar ourselves for the organization. And the trainings, they are entirely free of charge. They are tailored. They are bespoke trainings. They are tailored to the needs of your companies. So depending on the market you want to cover, depending on the sector of the companies, which will mean a certain type of IP that we need to talk about, and pretty any configuration is possible. Again, the idea behind these services and why are we talking about these specific markets is because the European Commission considers these emerging markets as highly attractive for European companies, but they remain in their majority sensitive. If we skip in Southeast Asia, Singapore, as you know, it's a very advanced economy, it's a very organized economy, it's a pretty safe market to do business with. The other countries, the legal systems still don't offer the same guarantees as in Western economies or as if you were going to Japan, South Korea, Sweden or Spain. These countries are way more sensible, so basically SMEs should be very careful before entering the market. Here are some examples of publications we have regarding intellectual property in Southeast Asia, China, and India. Again, this publication can be downloaded. They are downloadable. They are free. This is how you can stay connected with us through LinkedIn. We are very active on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We also have YouTube channels where we have videos, where we have webinars that have been recorded. So you can dive into it if you have any interest in these markets. And that's it for me. I'm very happy to answer any potential questions. My name is Mathieu. You have my email address here. You also have the email address of the project manager for China, and also the project manager for the India IPSME Helpdesk. If you have any specific question on India, you can actually ask my colleague Robert, who is staying there. Robert, please raise your hand. So he is at your disposal to answer any potential question. If you want to ask me anything about intellectual property in Southeast Asia, we can have a talk later on.